Hi, I'm Adam. Welcome back to GodotGameLab. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. We reached 10k subscribers and I'm super grateful. I thought we might do a little Q&A when we are in between the two seasons of the Auto Battler course. Normally, this would be a talking head video, but I'm moving to a new place, so here's some footage of me being very mediocre at video games instead. Let's see those questions. Congrats man, well deserved for the Q&A. I don't have many ideas, but you could provide more background about yourself and how you got where you are now in life. A real quick recap, or TLDR, is that I loved video games ever since I was a kid, and I always played games and I wanted to make my own games, right? So I started studying computer science harder than any other subject in school, and I ended up doing a bachelor's degree in computer science, eventually landed a job in web development back in 2016, and I did that for a couple of years. I didn't really like company culture, and in the meantime I fell in love with teaching instead of just coding all day. So I went back to uni to get a teacher's degree in English as a second language and computer science, and ever since then I've been teaching in different high schools, computer science mostly, and also on the side I started dabbling in game dev because I felt like it became easier and easier to make games. Because back in the day when I was in high school, it was really hard, and I think very few people actually got into game development because it was much less accessible than it is now. It's magnitudes easier to make games nowadays because these general purpose game engines like Godot are super capable, and they obscure a lot of hard math and science behind graphics in computers. So yeah, that's basically the gist of it. That's what I've been doing ever since. Now for the second part of the question. For game dev, my biggest question and fear about game dev is that I suck at art and music. I would love to participate in an indie game where I can discuss game design, mechanics, etc. and code, but not have to make art and music. How would you approach this situation other than using free game assets? Okay, I feel you there. I suck at art and music too, but that's okay. You don't have to be the jack of all trades, right? It is actually a really easy problem to solve. Enter a game jam and team up with people. Most jams have Discord servers with dedicated channels for searching team members, and making games is exponentially more fun when you do it with other people. Also, there's a subreddit called INAT, which stands for I Need a Team. You can look for people there too, and I'm sure you'll find someone who feels the other way around. They are competent in art or music or sounds, and they do want to make games as well, but they fear coding and game design, right? So there's no need to become the jack of all trades, just look for people and have fun. The second question, ever consider contracting out your big brain? You could really help solo devs and small studios with their architecture and overcoming difficult obstacles. It would also make for some awesome content. Yeah, that sounds super cool actually. My email is always open for everyone, so if you're watching and you want to contact me for such advice or contracts, just feel free to drop me a message. Wink wink. How much time do you invest into one episode? Research, coding, video editing, etc. Oh boy. I usually spend weeks or months in preparation for a season. First, I create a list of features I want to achieve. Then I code those as fast as I can, spaghetti style. Then I clean up the code so it's presentable. Then I prepare each episode one by one individually, which means doing a reference project for that specific episode, creating a detailed list of what steps are needed, and also if there are any additional visual aid or explanation needed, I design those too, like for example the presentation I used for the Slade Aspire style map generation. And this prep phase is usually somewhere between 2 or 4 hours. Then I record the episode, which depends on the length of the whole thing, but on average recording is between 1 and 3 hours. Then I mix and master the audio and edit the video. This again depends on the final length of the video, but usually somewhere between 4 and 8 hours. Then I upload, share, fill in the descriptions and share on social, which takes like an extra hour or so. So I would say on average it's like 15 hours on a video or something like that. Hey, I'm writing as a fellow ex-teacher, also ESL turned web dev. Oh, why did you quit teaching? It's not much a question, but an observation. It greatly shows in your instructions that you have a teaching background and you think deeply about the delivery of material. Well, thanks. It's great to have that feedback from a fellow teacher. In terms of questions, does studying game dev occupy most of your time these days? Not really. Research and teaching occupies most of my time. So I'm doing a PhD and it soaks soaks up a lot of my time nowadays. Writing papers, doing research, teaching as well, all the exams, it's a lot of stuff. I'd love to have a bit more time for game dev and YouTube actually. Do you still do teaching outside YouTube? Yes, I teach computer science in a high school and I also teach uni courses. On top of that, I have quite a few one-on-one mentoring sessions, mostly with students who want to take the Hungarian school leaving exam in computer science, which is kind of the equivalent of the SATs in the US. And also you posted a recommendation for that blog article, which I really loved reading, so thanks for the recommendation and for the comment. Cats or dogs? Dogs all day. Corgis and border collies are my favorites. Just look at those dudes. Fries or onion rings? Fries, there's no other valid answer here. Kendrick or Drake? Honestly neither, but if I'm forced to pick, Kendrick. 2 questions. What games inspired you to try game deving? Oh boy. So I'm kinda old now, but here are some of my childhood favorites that are truly inspiring to me. Doom, Little Big Adventure 2, Warcraft 3, World of Warcraft, Command and Conquer Red Alert 2, Heroes of Might and Magic 3, Gothic 1 and 2, Neverhood, Knights and Merchants, Commander Keen, and 4 is my favorite. But there are a lot of other games too. Oh man, I love these games so much, I definitely feel like installing some of them right now. They are all excellent and inspired me to try to make my own. What do you do when you hit an obstacle in trying to code something? There are many viable problem-solving strategies. Here are some that I usually do. First of all, I try to break it down into smaller pieces. For example, I have to do AI for the Auto Battler series season 2, right? What does that mean? It means that the units need to decide what they want to do at any given time, right? Okay, so what do I want them to be able to do in the first place? For example, they can find a valid target, they can move towards the target, they can auto-attack the current target, or cast their ability if the mana bar is full. So those distinctive features already suggest to me that I can do this with a finite state machine. Cool, so now I'm one step closer to actually implementing that AI, right? What else? I want them to find the shortest path to the target, right? Okay, so now I can look up pathfinding options in Godot. Now again, I'm one step closer to actually implementing the AI. So try to make your problems smaller and solve those smaller problems first. Another good strategy is rubber ducking. So explain out loud what you are trying to do to a rubber duck or a plushie. Just talking instead of thinking often helps. If that doesn't work, I usually go for a walk to clear my headspace or even abandon the problem for the whole day. Because if you abandon the problem, your unconscious brain still tries to solve that problem for you. So what often happens is I go for a walk or a run, abandon the problem, then I run 5K for example, then I jump into the shower and the solution pops into my head under the shower, right? Because my unconscious brain was still working on solving the problem. But if I'm still stuck, I usually search the docs because they are excellent and you can actually do that sooner than at this point. But if I'm still stuck, I look for text-based tutorials or YouTube videos or papers on the topic, hopefully finding what I'm looking for. And if none of these work and I'm still stuck, I ask for help on Discord or Reddit or something like that. Hope that helps. Congratulations, you make amazing content that I'm very thankful for. Thanks. Personal question, how do you keep yourself motivated to stay in a project and what is your point of passion for game dev and do you have any games released? Okay, so in terms of motivation, that's a very good question. I think no matter what you do, how passionate you are about your project, your motivation will fluctuate. It's inevitable. Here's what helps me personally. The most important one is choosing the right scope. So motivation and like keeping working on a project is like a muscle. You have to train it, right? So you can't start with too big scope. It's just doomed for failure. So what I do is I only make medium-sized games with a hard 3-month limit. For me, that is just long enough to make a real game that doesn't just feel like a game jam game without spending way too much or effort or time on it. Don't get me wrong, 3 months is a pretty big time, but it's not like working years on a game just to see it fail, right? The other one is scheduling. So for me, a simple Kanban board like Trello helps a lot. I do a rough plan for the whole project, and before each game dev session, I take like 5 to 10 minutes to actually think about what I want to be done that day. Clear goals are very underrated in my opinion. Bonus tip, instead of having items like camera system on your to-do list, use something like make progress in camera system. When you sit down and stare into a face of a camera system card, which can be quite a big and daunting task, you know that you can't finish it today, which can really tank your motivation. So either break it down into smaller tasks or just type something like make progress, right? It's much easier to make progress, some progress, than to tick a whole big system in one setting. In terms of passion, I have always wanted to make games since I first started playing video games. So not much has changed since, I just love playing and making games. In terms of projects, I don't have anything on Steam yet, but check out my anniversary video on all the projects I made throughout the years if you're interested. The link will be in the description. At what point would you start some light marketing like a devlog or a game YouTube channel? I think as soon as you have a playable prototype with programmer art. If it looks fun, people can play it, and free playtesting and feedback is a goldmine for game devs. So I'd say if you have a fun game prototype, go for it. Share it with people, make them play the game, collect some feedback, which you can build on, right? Why not start today? I'm constantly astounded by how effortless you make teaching look. It's a genuine skill you have and should be hella proud of. Question, do you have any games or upcoming projects that you are working on aside from teaching us? I bet you could make something incredibly fun. Well, thanks for the kind words. It means a lot. Yes, I do. So my PhD topic is about making games to teach computer science. Currently, I'm working on a board game prototype, but I plan to make a video game as well in the future. Hopefully that will be my first ever full-length game release. Stay tuned. When making a new game, do you sit down and think through all the architecture you'll need first? Or do you adapt, refactor, etc. as you go along? Bit of both, honestly. I never jump straight into game development in case of bigger projects like these. I start with a bullet point list of features I want to have. Then I plan the architecture and do a first draft of the code. At this point, it doesn't really matter if it's spaghetti or ugly, I just want it to work properly. Then finally, I refactor and make it pretty and scalable and flexible. However, there are still cases when I settle for suboptimal solutions, so I'm always open to refactoring when a better idea hits me. It actually happens sometimes when I'm already recording an episode and think of a better way of doing something on the go. Could you make a video about making physics-based games, like an Angry Birds clone for instance? I could, but should I? I don't know, you tell me. Thank you for your quality content. I still believe you got so much less than you deserved. It should be 100k subscribers at this point. Well, thank you so much. Spread the word so it can be 100k in the future. Did you ever think about going full-time YouTube creator if it would bring at least the same income as your current job? That is a good question. I'd love to do this full-time, but I'm nowhere near the stable income threshold yet. And honestly, I also really like teaching IRL too. So I would probably miss student-teacher interactions, but who knows, maybe one day. Okay, so these are all the questions we had for today. If you have any other questions which I haven't answered, leave a comment below so I can answer them. And that's it. I will be back when the Auto Battler Season 2 is ready to publish, so stay tuned, take care of yourself, and see you. Bye-bye.